this is the story of my life. I preserved it till date. Almost every domain that I have done, following there is there with me. This is what I call my portfolio. You see, it says 8 February 1990.
सब लोग तो मीटिंग छोड़ रहे हैं.
I mean, I was sketching, and this sketch provoked me to continue sketching slowly over a period of time. I earned as a student of architecture in 1963. So this the making, especially for the student of architecture here, is how to keep works so that it architect portfolio. I'm going to share my experience of making my own architecture portfolio, and also the experience of students who have worked with me and I have taught how to maintain their portfolio. I continue to do this even today. In these days when I'm not able to meet students, in helping them, trying to to improve their and to so keep a record of your works to make your architecture portfolio. Now, what exactly is a portfolio? Collection of drawings, documents, etc. that represent a person's work in his or her choosing of special.
Hello, Hariman sir.
Or
Sir,
wherein,
hello, sir.
yes,
Sir, your voice is
yes,
not audible. It is breaking.
is it?
Sir, your voice is not audible. Your voice is breaking, sir.
How is it now? How is
Uh,
it now? Is it clear?
sir, it is still breaking, sir. Sir, I guess, can you use earphones? Can you use earphones?
I am using headphone now. I am using headphone.
Sir, just a minute.
Can you hear me?
Sir, just a minute.
Hello. I'm using earphone. अरे भाई मैं क्या करूं? Let us continue because I'm connection here. Nothing. So
Okay,
if there is anything, I only hope that I remain audible and there is clarity in what you are seeing and hearing, because that might be all right.
yes, sir.
And I hope you are able to hear me.
Yes.
So it is a collection of documents, document that person's work in his or her chosen field of specialty. I don't have to tell this, but of course, this is new thoughts, first year students and second year students. Now, why should a very important question which for every architecture student? Because an architecture graduate, if you go to any office, you will not get it. The first will ask is, what can you do? How you can do show to make portfolio of work
Sir, your voice is breaking, so
and
we
have
need to do
till
something. It is breaking, so you are hardly audible.
Was really this platform is my problem. Hello. Oh,
Hello.
yes, sir. Can you? Me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear you. Sir, I guess you please आप थोड़ा सा धीरे धीरे ब्रेक लेके बोलेंगे तो there will be more clarity in the voice.
Okay. Okay. So, should keep a portfolio. You make a photo. It when these pictures for a job or just before graduation when you in your fourth year when you go in an experience to work in the same office, but all done when you go back after you always learn in the in a small or large multinational firm to portfolio. So this is independently into teaching. Yes, there are different levels of portfolios required. If you plan to go for higher studies, you need to revise portfolio and college where you want to go for higher studies. And if you decide to go up following studies to become certificate, not help. You need to have a portfolio of skills and your abilities to become a teacher. So certificates don't help as far as an architecture graduate is concerned. So this is all about how to create which will you find and find a position in life. As far as architecture training and skills that he or she develops in 5 years of time. And by skills, I mean drawing and sketching skills of importance when you join architecture course. And what should be using the design works that you have into design from making drawings of design works which become part of your portfolio. If you have model making skills, images and photographs of your model making and of models that are physical models that you make, you include as portfolio. See, now we're living in the this digital world. This new presentation has become part of almost all walks of life. So, which is based on digital presentation is also becoming a norm in practice. you are going to have a portfolio of your works. So this is especially for architecture students to make the skills that you have, make a list of all the skills that you have, which help you in the work as an architect, put them in different ways. Portfolio. What you should remember while making a portfolio. Now, it's interesting to study because I'm going to show you students' works which come to me, students send to me looking for a job opportunity in my office, their portfolios to me. Or many other students also to work. I'm taking what is portfolio and not to do in a portfolio. So let me show students work and talk about why you should take care of. In your portfolio, there must be a list of contents. The way when you open a book, when you see a list of contents, similarly, your portfolio, beginning of your portfolio itself should have a list of contents that you have included in your portfolio. But the content should be very crisp. This is something to be remembered. In this image, you can see there is a wonderful picture or a view of a house design, but the description which is given on the left is not visible. Even I'm sure, even if the in this it is not visible, in the real it will take in the real picture or sheet also, it will take quite some time to figure out what is written. So the content should be very crisp, and minimal writing using appropriate images should be the first rule to be remembered while making a portfolio. Look at this. This looks very beautiful, wonderful. But at this scale, you can't read anything. So it becomes very important that at what scale is the portfolio being looked at? Because merely showing some beautiful images doesn't give full information about your capacities to the person who is looking at it. So it is important to create each page with appropriate elements which are readable and viewable both. So to make whatever information you are giving in a very crisp manner. Now here you can see this looks very crisp. There is minimum written work, but whatever is shown becomes very clear that you have visualization skills and you are very good at artwork, pen and ink sketch. So this kind of minimal writing, but maximum importance being given to what skill you are trying to focus through images becomes important in a portfolio composition of each page of the portfolio, whether it is digital or printed portfolio. Look at this image. This is also another student's work. Very clear, crisp, and minimal writing, and gives a good impression about the capacity of the student to create digital images of a design. Some other examples which are very clear in their presentation, and the ideas are presented with minimal words. So now I will talk about some other issues in portfolio making. This was about clarity on each page of your portfolio, whether digital page or real page, printed page. There should be very good clarity. There should be minimum write-up and maximum importance given to the image of the skill that you are trying to represent in your portfolio. Now, in today's world, you can make two types of portfolios. One I would prefer to call physical portfolio, and the other which is called digital portfolio. We will look at both these aspects of making of portfolios. Now, physical portfolio is something which has always existed. For example, I belong to a generation which had to rely on making of the physical portfolio and maintain that portfolio, carry it around wherever we went, show it to the people whom you are approaching for job, for work, for any kind of employment. But today the world has changed. The world has changed doesn't mean that the importance of physical portfolio is gone. The importance still remains, but there is an additional dimension to the making of portfolio called the digital portfolio. we'll take a look at both of these aspects of making portfolio, but I'll take you slightly back into the history of portfolio making during my time and how it has evolved over the period of so many years. Because I am one person, like many others of my age, who have seen this change, big change in the way your work is exhibited or shown or portfolios are created. So let's take a look at the past and the time in between and the present of portfolio making, because it will give you a fairly good idea of how to create your own portfolio from now onwards. So in the past, portfolios were always physical in nature. This meant that you had to really make a portfolio which is portable in nature. You should be able to carry in your hand, and you could actually make only one portfolio. There was absolutely no question of making number of copies of portfolio. It was a very difficult exercise because during those days there was no way of copying something. Xerox, as you call Xerox or photocopy, never existed in our time. So to repeat something, make a copy of what you have done was a very difficult proposition. So let me show you the very first, like I showed you earlier, the very first sketch that I had done. This is the very first architectural design that I had done as a student of second year in my college. I still have this particular sheet because I am very nostalgically attached to this one drawing sheet in which I put my effort to explain a design which I did first. This was the project of a police station which we had to design in IIT campus. I still carry it. And every time I look at it, I realize what was the skills. I remember the skills which I had to showcase design ideas which I have in my mind. So if you look at more carefully at the perspective view here, constructing this perspective took me about 10 days, like putting it down on a piece of paper called tracing paper, drawing, constructing the lines, deciding the vanishing point, and so on, looking at the plan. All those who have studied this aspect of making perspective drawings would know the systematic step-by-step method of making a perspective. It took me 10 days to create this perspective. Now, I was quite curious when the digital world came and several software started appearing with which you could produce fascinating drawings, fascinating views. And as an old timer, I had to really work hard to learn these methods, these new methods of digitally representing building. So I became curious and I picked the very first architectural drawing, and I created a perspective view in the digital world. It took me some time to figure out how to use the software, but when I did, I found that it was so simple. And to my surprise, I found that when I created the perspective using the digital platform, it looked almost the same, exactly the same as what I had visualized and drawn as a second year student way back in 1974. So here is a perspective which I had drawn in 1974, the same thing created in the digital world in 2016 using SketchUp as a tool, which, as all of you, most of you who are in architecture and architecture students know that SketchUp is one of those very rudimentary, very fundamental tool which helps you visualize what you have in mind. I was very happy to see this connect between my mind of 1974 and what I could do with it in the year 2016. This actually provoked me to explore my past using new digital tools. I'm just telling you because this helped me recreate my entire body of work from 1973 till today using a new medium called digital medium and create a new set of portfolio. My earlier portfolios were all manually done and all hard copies which I had to carry it around. But today I'm very happy to say that I could recreate all that I had done in the past in the form of digital portfolio. And it also helped me understand or realize whether I was good or bad as a student. So this was a public toilet design which I had done in my third year. It was called a time problem, as all of you students know that we do a time problem or a kind of an examination over 2 or 3 days time in your studio. It was to design a public toilet for a small slum area in our campus. So I recently, later in a couple of 2 years back, I converted that into a digital medium, and I was pretty happy to see that my visualization those days and what digital world does today, eh, there is not much difference. It's the same. Now, another third example that I'm showing you is my fourth year work. In those days, this was one of the standard designs which were done by students in fourth year. That is designing a standalone cinema theater. Now, this cinema theater was designed for almost for 2 or 3 months. This was one major project in our fourth year studio, and this was the perspective drawing which I created, which took me almost a month to create. And you can see that it was drawn using rotring point 2. And this is a presentation in which point 2 pen is used, dot rendering is done, parallel lines are drawn. It took me almost a month to create this perspective. And I had thought of a very interesting, innovative structure while creating this theater. You can see the auditorium building itself has got doubly curved shells sandwiched between portal frames. Perhaps it is visible to you here, doubly curved shells sandwiched between portal frames. This took me quite some time to visualize, sketch, make model, and figure out and make a presentation drawing. So this is how it was years ago in 1976, 77. And when I put this in today's perspective, without any change, I haven't made any change in that design, but converted into a digital portfolio from manual to digital. I was surprised to learn that how beautifully it is possible to walk into your buildings if you become an expert at handling digital mediums. In manual mediums, there is only one way you can represent your ideas on paper. But in digital medium, you can create walkthroughs. I don't have to tell this to most of the contemporary architecture students and architects, because that is the way we these days represent a building. Those days we had to just, if at all we are able to make one or two perspectives, that was considered a fascinating skill, drawing a perspective. But today, you can not only create a model, you can actually literally walk into it. So I recreated my cinema theater of 1976, 77, and I am now walking into this model and watching contemporary movies, as you can see here. This was something which was impossible even for us to imagine when I was a student in 1976. So look what I am able to do with the present digital media. The design is the same. There is absolutely no change in the design which I did in 1976, but the new medium allows me to do all this and also experience the structural system in a much more realistic manner than what kind of imagination I had those days. It was so difficult for me to convince my professors that this is what I have in mind. And today I wish I had this medium in 1976 so that I could create walkthroughs to explain my design as part of the jury which I had. So this is one advantage, one big advantage which the new generation has, that of skills in skill development in the digital world, so that we can create parallelly a wonderful digital portfolio too. Now let me, having shown you these small examples of past works which can be put in present context, let me come to what should be the contents of an architecture portfolio. This again, I assert here and I put emphasis here that I am speaking to architecture students. And of course, if it helps others who are on this webinar, I'll be happy, because what exactly is an architecture portfolio for a job interview, and should be the contents. Why I am saying this is that as a practicing architect, in my office, I have had many students coming to me with their portfolio. And very rarely I have seen a portfolio which has got the right content with which they should be coming to the office. There are wonderful portfolios. They are very beautiful. They look very beautiful, and the contents also look very beautiful, but they hardly have any information. I tell this to the students that I don't see much information about how much knowledge you have. I can see that you can make very good looking drawings, but what are the contents of the drawings are not very clear. So here I am putting this, I'm including this information in this presentation to let you know what should be the real contents in an architect's portfolio. You see, in today's context, if you have the digital medium in your hand and you are an expert at it, these are the ways you should compile your portfolio. You must definitely have concept development videos of every design that you do from first year to final year. Given a chance today, in fact, I can easily do it now. I can develop a concept development video of the police station, which I did in 1974. So that is possible because we have the technologies today available. So how to develop concept development videos, this I will talk about in this webinar. Then presentation drawings, of course, you know how to make presentation drawings, but there's a difference between presentation drawings and other type of drawings. What I see, most of the portfolios which students come with, they all have only presentation drawings. But it is very important to include, apart from presentation drawing, construction drawings of the very same design that you are showing as presentation. There is no point in showing construction drawings which are totally different set of drawings which have nothing to do with the design that you are showing as your presentation. So uh, not in many schools this kind of attempt is made to create construction drawings and services drawings of the same designs which you have done. But since you have learned the techniques, methods as students, it is entirely up to you to sit back with your previous designs. For example, if you are in fourth year, you should open up your second year design project and create construction drawings, services drawings for that, because you will learn a lot in that process, because you will discover the mistakes that you made in that design. You will be able to improve your design which you did in second year. And before you finally make your portfolio after graduation or in your final year, make sure that you redo all your works from second year onwards, especially from second year, third year projects that you have done. And you will find that your projects are improving in that process, because you have more knowledge now. When you are in final year, you have more knowledge of all these services which go into the making of a good architectural design. So redoing your work as part of the portfolio is a very good step towards increasing your credibility as an architect designer. So contents are concept development videos which can be recreated, presentation drawings which you have already done, construction drawings which perhaps you should make all over again of your previous designs, services drawings of your designs, physical models, whatever you had made would be enough, pictures of that. Virtual models can be redone, remade, and made more realistic. Then one issue which I have mentioned here as BOQ. This is something which is not at all addressed by any student. I have never seen a BOQ as part of a portfolio of any student in my last 45 years of architectural career as an architect. I have asked them, do you know BOQ? Most of them don't know what a BOQ is. If at all someone knows, they have heard it from a civil engineer, not even from their architecture teachers. No architectural design teacher ever talks about BOQ to the students, unfortunately, in most of the schools of architecture. Most of the time, what I have heard is that some civil engineer comes and teaches the subject called estimation and costing, and they talk about BOQ and go away. But BOQ, or the full form of it is, I hope you know the full form. Find out the full form of BOQ. Or let me tell you, this is called Bill of Quantities. How much quantities of materials are consumed in the or will be consumed in the design that you have created when it will be built. Architectural design has to have a realistic approach. Unless you understand how much of materials will be consumed, are likely to be consumed in the design that you do, you are not an architect. You have no clue how the building will be constructed. So trying to understand right from second year the meaning of bill of quantities, the quantities of materials that will be required to make your building in the real world. And of course, other associated skills such as photography, writing, sketching, and all the other skills that you think is necessary to be put as part of architectural portfolio, you can easily include in the contents of your portfolio. How to go about doing this? I'll give you some examples. Whenever you do a design, now it is very easily possible, and which was almost impossible during our time. Why? Because today's generation, almost everyone carries a camera in their pocket by way of their mobile phone. So when you develop conceptual sketches, any scribbling that you do when you start designing, keep taking pictures. Now, this is the first step towards making of a portfolio. Keep taking pictures all the time. I insist on this whenever I take a class with students on design or any other such work, creative work, that while you are doing a creative work or when you are doing a design, use your mobile phone camera to continuously take pictures of the process that you are working on, how you are developing different ideas. Do not ignore any idea that you sketch. Take a picture. Today it is possible. In our time, none of us had camera. I never had a camera in my college days. In the whole department, maybe one or two students had, and we had to beg, borrow from them to take some pictures. So today you carry it in your pocket, this mobile phone with camera. Use it to the best possible effect to create series of pictures of how you are developing a concept. Later on, stitch them together to develop what is known as concept development videos. If you do this from now, it will go a long way in helping you understand the process of the thought process which has gone behind your design development, and also helps you make your presentation very well, very convincingly in front of your teachers or in front of an audience. Now, I'll give you an example here. This is a very simple project which I had done with first year students, given to first year students, how to develop concept using sketches. So the theme which was given to the students was called Design Sensibilities in Women. How do you understand design sensibilities in women? What are their needs? What are their physical and mental requirements? This was a small project. And based on this, the students had to develop some design ideas. So sketches, these are a series of sketches to understand women and her needs, woman and her needs. They need two types of comforts. One set of comfort like privacy and comfort for the body. The other set of comfort for mind called safety, communication, freedom, and expression. Now, this was a set of sketches and set of notes which are made along with the sketches, and then later they were stitched together. For example, this is one sketch which says physical and ergonomical comfort. What are the different sizes or heights which a woman has to negotiate in the built environment? So pace and step, application of pace and step, all these are created actually digitally. You could also create it in sketch form. Different types of uh, dimensions which we use in the built environment. So these are all images, different images which depict in a very simple way how ergonomics or sizes matter when you create objects in the built environment and for the comfort of women. Here I was talking about women especially because I was doing this workshop with girls in a girls' college, School of Architecture for Girls. And they had to address this issue and create a design. So when you have all these set of sketches, how it is possible to stitch them together and make it into a video. I only hope that this video is visible to you. I am going to play this video.
Sir, Harimohan sir.
Yes.
Sir, video mein there is no voice.
Okay, music is not playing. I mean, that is
Yes.
okay.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
okay. There was only music in that.
Okay, sir. No problem.
I hope the video was visible to all of you. This video was created by stitching together all those sketches which you saw earlier. So this is one method. Any little sketch that you do as part of concept development, take pictures, put them together, put annotations that you want, and stitch them together as a video. This video which I showed had some music in the background, which I don't know if you were able to hear, but there was no voiceover. You can add music, you can add commentary to your videos for presentation. So it is possible with today's digital media to create this kind of videos of concept development. Now let us come to design drawings. Always when you develop a design, you start with concept sketches, put those sketches together. And usually what I have seen is when students make a presentation, the entire idea of how the student developed the design is put in few lines or maybe one or two diagrams and said, this is my concept. Student stands up and says, this is my concept. So instead of doing that, it is a good idea to make a video of how you develop the concept. Show that video, that how you came with that idea. It could the video could be as short as 2 minutes or 3 minutes or as long as 5 minutes. By stitching together your sketches and talking about how you develop the concept rather than talk about the concept, and then show your drawings. So now we'll come to the next stage after developing the concept, how you come to the design drawing. Here again, I am taking example from students' works. I'll show you a set of drawings created by students and how, once again, these drawings also can be stitched together to create a video. Now, this is an online workshop which I had conducted for students, and one student from Surat had participated in this. And she created this in a matter of 10 days. This was an online workshop, this design, whatever she had done. She created a set of presentation drawings and a presentation video using digital tools. So that was the workshop all about. So take a look at the way the images were created, and finally how these images were stitched together to create a video. So this was a digital workshop where the entire design was put into the digital format and all drawings were created, or rather recreated, of the design which she had done in her second year. Ground floor plan, first floor plan. Mind you, this whole set of drawings is actually created from just one digital model. She developed a digital model in SketchUp and used that one model to create all these different drawings. Roof plan, east elevation, north elevation, south elevation. So the minimum number of views, details which are required as a portfolio of design. Of course, many things can be added into this, like dimensions, etc. But since this is just a presentation, all these views are created. And then these views were stitched together to create a presentation video. What you saw earlier was called a concept video. Now, once you have your set of drawings of your design, when your drawings are ready, you can easily take pictures of those drawings, add some notes, speak into your phone, and create a video which showcases your design as a presentation video. Let's take a look at this presentation video which was made by this girl, Miss Gatha Bhakta. So this was a presentation video of architectural design drawing. So you have seen two types of works. First was concept development sketches and then concept development video, followed by architectural design presentation and architectural design presentation drawings in the form of a video. Now this is very rudimentary. You can add to this, you can add a lot of information to this, you can speak over it, you can create further inputs into the explanation of the design. The way you must have seen sometimes builders and developers, the way they showcase their future projects. So this is something which as a skill, as a student, you must develop. Let's come to the third stage. What when you have completed the design? Once you have completed the design, it doesn't end there. This is where you need to learn a bit more about how to understand the design that you have created. You see, you must try to understand the entire construction sequence, which can explain your design. That is, you learn to create animation. If you create a BIM model, it is possible for you to create an animation through which you can explain how your building or your design will be constructed right from foundation up, how the services will be included into your building. Now, if you do this, one big advantage of doing this kind of work is that much before you start making a building, in your mind's eye, you are very clear about how the entire construction of the building will happen when it happens. So this is the way actually you should learn architectural design, not merely making a presentation drawing, but looking at the presentation that you have created and wondering how to go about ensuring that this design can be constructed. So this next time, what I'm going to show you is the construction sequence of a design. Now the building is not executed. This again is that a student's work, a student of third year from School of Architecture and Planning in Chennai, Anna University, Chennai. He did a workshop with me and I explained to him how to go about creating a construction sequence of the design which he has done. So this is a residence by Mr. Sam of SAP Anna University. This was a design which he had done. He had only the drawings of it, but he created a BIM model in a workshop which I conducted and used that BIM model to create the entire sequence of construction. I'll just go through it and then show you how he managed to create a video which showed the animation of the possible construction of this house if it is built in future. Now remember, this is a third year student's portfolio. This is a third year design, architectural design of a house. So once the BIM model was ready, he could extract what is known as the center line plan. So always on a construction site, when you want to make a building, you start with making of the central line on the construction site. So that is one image. So you have one image of center line. The next image is that of how you will do excavation or dig out soil on the site. Now follows all the step-by-step footings, reinforcements are put in the excavated pits. So if you do this as a process of all your designs from second year onwards, by the time you graduate as an architect, you are very clear about how a building is constructed. Designer you will anyway become, but it is more important to know how a building is constructed from ground up. So footing reinforcement, followed by footing casting, followed by column reinforcement in the foundation, followed by casting of the column in the foundation, plinth making, ground floor columns, ground floor walls, some elevation elements like fins in the building for the window openings, etc. Ground floor beam reinforcements, beam casting, slab casting, and so on. First slab casting. So this is this is the most important aspect of doing an architectural design, knowing how you will construct that design, because finally you have expected to prepare drawings which will go to the construction site, and the contractor will interpret the drawing and get the building constructed. Not that you have to go and construct the building yourself, but your design portfolio should be such that it gives the entire sequence of construction, brings clarity to the sequence of construction, first in your mind, and then if it is clear in your mind, there is no way your portfolio will not make it clear to others who look at it. So this is one method. So here you can see all the processes are looked at. Upper floor slab, second slab is cast, the terrace floor, the staircase room is made, the water tank is added. And then comes the services, electrical and plumbing services in BIM model or building information model. SketchUp, by the way, is one of the most rudimentary kinds of simplest possible software in which you can do all this in different layers. Each part can be done in different layer, and you can put them together and understand how in a building various things are built into the built form, like electrical services. You can see, you are seeing a ceiling fan hanging out here, but it is not hanging, it is on the top slab there. So you can see electrical lines here, plumbing lines here, and once this is actually part of your uh, built form. When you make a BIM model, you can move around it, you can look at it from close, you can look at it from far, and understand how you, because it is all in the three-dimensional world. So electrical plumbing services, and including in landscaping, you can put as part of in a series of sequence of sketches. And I have just made it very simple. This boy has made it in a very simple manner, but it is possible to view this from different angles, different ways, and create a series of drawings. And later they can be stitched together to see it as an animation. Let us see the animation made by Mr. Sam. So I hope that was clear. So we have gone through the third stage where we try to explain how the design that you have in your mind will rise from below the ground and will be finished. Now it is possible to create all this because today's the digital technologies, there are so many different types of softwares which allow you to do all this. You can make it much more realistic than what I have shown. Remember, these are all students' work. Students are working with me to understand the medium so that they can put their designs in a proper format to create a portfolio. So this is combining both images and video mediums and creating a portfolio of the entire construction process of the design. Now, let's take a look at one more set of skills which we normally use as architects when we develop design. That is called making models, not the digital model that we are seeing now, but physical models. That is also a very interesting method, and physical models have always been there during our time also. Every time we had to submit a project, we had to make a model and submit. Now, once again, the tools that are available with us today are extremely useful to convert the whole process of creating the model documented in the form of images and videos and creating ultimately a video out of the entire process of making of the model. Sequentially, it can be documented and you will be able to explain your design. Let us take a look at this through a design model created once again by a student in one of my workshops. This was a theme which was given to the students to understand how would Corbusier use his how you would use the sense of proportions which Corbusier had to create an exhibition pavilion. That was the theme, to create an exhibition pavilion, open pavilion, which expresses the modular or Corbusier's concept of the modular. So again, this is created finally it is created in the form of a video. Please take a look at this. Uh, so I hope that was clear how a model also making of a model of a building also can be converted into an animation. It's very simple. Today it is possible. I cannot imagine doing something like this during my student days because we never had a camera. So since this is perhaps, I believe that this is the best use of the tool called mobile phone that you carry in your pocket. That everything that you do, continuously take pictures, save the pictures, and use those pictures to convert it into a portfolio of the design ideas that you are developing. So you have seen how beautifully this particular boy had created the video using digital still images as well as videos of that pavilion, not only during daytime, in sunshine, in nightlight conditions, while developing the design, making drawings of the idea, cutting the model. So the entire process of from visualization to final completion of the model, testing the model in different conditions, everything can be documented by way of sketches, by way of model, by way of images, by way of videos, and stitched together to make a video of the entire process, which becomes part of your portfolio. Now, I have tried to explain all the aspects of developing a design and representing it in different mediums. But this is not necessarily that it is to be restricted to students alone. I know there must be many teachers also who are attending this webinar, and hopefully there are other architects also who are attending this. It is possible for teachers also. They can also make their portfolio and revise them year after year based on their interactions with students. Now, this is an idea. I know of some teachers who do it. I do it all the time as a teacher, of continuously revising my portfolio of my interaction with students. So, which I'll show you a little later. But this is a possibility. Not only students, but even teachers can do it. Architects can do it. Because a teacher's portfolio, what is a teacher's portfolio? A teacher's portfolio is what kind of impact you make as an educator to the students who follow you. So this is a topic which can have another big webinar if I am addressing the teachers, but then I'm just giving you some points which will help you make your own portfolio in future. Documentation of your teaching, your professional development, your effectiveness, materials demonstrating student learning, activities to improve your instruction, contributions that you are doing to teaching profession, articles and presentations, honors, award, recommendation from students. That is also important. How students appreciate what you are doing for them, and other campus involvement, community service, other personal interests. All these things can also become a digital portfolio in the form of a video or digital portfolio or and so on. So this is another aspect of portfolio developing. Not only students, but teachers also can make their portfolio. So in today's times, it's very easy because you can have a PDF, you can create blogs, you can create websites, you can have YouTube videos. You know, today's context, creative people have all of this. They have blogs, they have websites, they have YouTube video channels, and put the information, the work they do into all these channels. You must have noticed during these COVID times when all of us are restricted in our movement and we are all staying at home, a lot of people have started their own YouTube channels showing their skill sets. So I believe that a student, teacher, or an architect in today's context should have all of this, should put your creative pursuits in all of these mediums so that it is available to your clients, your friends, your other associates. If you are a teacher, it is available to your students. If you're an architect, it is available to your clients and your admirers and so on. So with this, I'll just show you my portfolio. Now, this is my portfolio. I mean, this also has an interest in, actually, my portfolio, what I mean is my today's portfolio. My portfolio is based on my 45 years of work. I showed you in the beginning that first sketch which I had done. I have a huge collection of sketches. So today I convert everything into digital format and I put it on my blog. This is my blog or website, as you call it. It's called Archi Studio. Archi Studio is a word with which I got stuck in my first year when I joined architecture college in IIT Kharagpur. Because I was new to the field, I was surprised to hear that they don't call it as a classroom or a lecture. Studio, I always thought the studio means a studio where you go to take pictures, photo studio. But I was told that you are supposed to go to studio. Teachers told us, our seniors told us that you're supposed to go to studio. So I like that word. And architecture student, because it's an engineering campus, other engineering students used to call ourselves and tell us that architecture students go to their studio, Archi Studio. So that name got stuck to me, and when I graduated, I adopted that word Archi Studio as the name of my office. So today my office is in the digital world. It has got several aspects. It has got my teaching, my work as student in my student days, all the way up to my PhD is there available on my blog or website. My projects, all the architectural projects that I have been doing and have done in my life, they are there on this website, and including a YouTube channel which I have where I upload these kind of videos, which are my recent craze, making videos of the process of design, progressive videos of work that is being done, including teaching, and uploading for the benefit of students and others. So this is, I suppose, how we continue to make portfolio today. I hope I am clear about this whole process. My objective was to address young students who are just new into this field, and I hope in that process of communicating to young students, if others have also benefited, I'm only very happy that you would be able to put this into practice in your career as part of your profession.
Yes, sir.
Sir, was I clear? Was I audible? Was I visually? I don't know. I was, we are living in very strange times. I am not used to sitting like this and talking to a PC or a laptop. I prefer a crowd before me and standing on the platform, talking to students, showing them something and interacting, walking in between them. But this is the third or fourth time it is happening in this last 3 months that I'm sitting alone in a room, close the door, and talking to my PC. People think that something is wrong with me. But, but I know somewhere some people are listening to me. I hope I was audible. Everything was very clear, and I hope they have understood what I was trying to tell. Because it's very difficult to know if people are getting it without having any eye contact or without having any contact with them. That is why I was messaging you once in a while to know if I was really there or people have vanished. I wanted to know if people have already vanished.
Sir, you were exceptional.
Thank you. Thank you.
And sir, it was a very nice presentation. In fact, we have learnt a lot. And sir, now I would request the audience to please type in your question in the chat box, and we can ask sir's expert guidance on the same. Can we have the first question, please? Sir, the first question is from Parth Kokate, and he is asking how to represent concept.
That is something which I showed already in that video. I have shown that concept is, see, what do we mean by concept? Concept is like the birth of an idea in your mind. If you try to analyze the word concept, it means birth of an idea in your mind. And for us architects, the moment an idea comes in your mind, you can't sit quiet, right? You look for if you sit quiet, you are not an architect. You look for a sketchbook. The moment an idea comes into your mind, all creative people look for a sketchbook or somewhere to sketch something, or look for your laptop into which you can sit on your drawing pad or whatever. So that is the birth of an idea. So the birth of an idea, you should start documenting. What I was showing you is right from the first line that you draw to the last final line that you draw as a design, the entire process, if it is documented, the idea of concept becomes very clear, how the idea evolves in your mind. I don't know if you have, I have been a chemistry graduate. I don't know if those of you who have studied chemistry would know that a concept came into some scientist called Kekule's mind. It's a very famous story. There's a scientist called Kekule, who had a dream, a concept, in which he saw six snakes eating each other. That 6 snakes eating each other became the structure of the carbon atom. And that was the birth of the subject called organic chemistry. So that is conceptual idea which came into his mind. When he was sleeping, he got up and made a sketch of 6 snakes eating each other. And it became a hexagon. If you can visualize a hexagon, one snake eating another snake. And so conceptually, even scientists also get conceptual ideas, which they sketch, where they develop and express it. Finally, that whole concept of 6 snakes eating each other became the structure of carbon atom. So concept is the birth of an idea in your mind, and you as an architect should have the skill to sketch it out, to make model, to visualize it, and convert them into series of sequence of sketches or videos. So that is concept, making of a concept.
Yes. So now there is another question from Dayama Hitesh. He wants to know more about CV. I think perhaps what he is trying to ask here is how to creatively prepare a CV. Am I?
Yes, CV, yes. Curriculum vitae, as you call it. CV is nothing but another word for, we use the word portfolio most of the time. CV is used by people who can't do anything visually. CVs are typewritten matters, are called CVs. Generally, in the rest of the professional world, it is called, CV is nothing but a typewritten matter in which you write your name, sex, age, address, phone number, email ID, and so on. That is called a CV. An architect's CV is actually a portfolio. It is pointless calling it as a CV because it is a portfolio. So CV is nothing but a document, which is a typed document which gives your personal data, your professional data, your educational qualification, and so on. So that is it's a very simple document. But for an architect, a CV means it is a portfolio of your skills.
The following question is from Miss Vanshika. She is asking, in today's world when everyone will be busy doing digital portfolio more, will working on physical portfolio with digital will be a good idea or not?
Yes, definitely. See that there are both advantages and disadvantages both. Digital is a new world. For me, it is a new world. Do you know that when in the times of physical portfolio, I remember the first 2-3 times I had to go to search for a job. My whole portfolio from first year to final year was about 6 to 7 kilos. You see, rolls of drawings which I had to tie together and put it into a box and carry it in my arm and go to an office. And if the office rejects, I go to another office. So when you compare with that today's digital world, you just have to send an email. You send an email. If the person likes your portfolio, they call you. So there are positives and negatives of both. But the advantage of physical portfolio is that your involvement is deeper in a physical portfolio because you work with your hand. And physical portfolio only you can make. You cannot expect others to make a physical portfolio for you. Whereas digital portfolio can be misleading in nature. See, when I see a digital portfolio, I'm not very sure if it's really done by that person. It could be done by anybody, correct? So, I am not very sure when I see a digital presentation. But if as part of a digital presentation, I see manual inputs by way of sketches, by way of manual models, by way of, then I am more confident about that person's abilities. A purely digital portfolio can be very misleading. That is another decision. So as this person who has asked this question, yes, it is a very good idea to combine the skills that you have both in the physical world as well as digital world to create a portfolio which gives a balanced view of your abilities.
There's one more question from one of the students. He is saying that many students are making portfolio like a book and many are making it like an album. Which one is more preferred way?
In the beginning of my presentation somewhere I said, why do you make a portfolio? Initially, it is to get a job. Once you get a job, once you are settled in life, that portfolio becomes like a marriage album. What happens when you make a marriage album? In the beginning, so you see, but nobody sees it for the next 20 years. Then suddenly, when you grow old, you become nostalgic and keep looking at the marriage album. So if you have a physical album or a book, it helps only in the beginning. Later it will lie in your shelf, and in future you can go through that album physically and feel nostalgic about it. That's a fact, actually, reality. But physical portfolios actually take a lot of space. That is another disadvantage, that if you keep on making physical albums, you need a space to keep this. Today, because of the digital world has come, even people have stopped making marriage albums. They're all digital albums now. So you can easily compare with the concept of marriage albums, physical albums and digital albums.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is one more question, which is, can there be a possibility of making a digital as well as a mixture of digital as well as physical portfolio?
Yes, why not? See, it is possible. I don't know. I have not yet seen anybody exploring this new medium called digital printing to make portfolio. Can you supposing, I'm just asking this question, students can try this out, because I don't have access to digital printing, or I do not know that technology. But look at it like this. You tell an office that you are very good at making a kind of a sculpture or a small item. So if the office wants to know whether you are good at it, all you have to do is you send the drawing by email, and they can digitally print and see how beautiful that object is. Correct? So that is your portfolio. You can mix the digital world with the physical world. You can digitally print your portfolio. That is also possible. If somebody really wants to see the physicality of the object that you have, this is happening a lot in the world of design for, let us say, jewelry design. Let us look at the world of jewelry design. If you have an idea of a ring or a necklace or some piece of ornament, you can send that idea as a digital three-dimensional model, and the company can 3D print and look at it. Correct? Am I right? So this is the connect between the digital world and the physical world. Today, that is also possible. I am sure that 50 years from now, we will not be having construction workers on construction site. Most of the buildings may get digitally printed. So there will be a big connection between your digital world to the physical world by way of digitally printing buildings also. So we are at the cusp of a revolution, and this new generation will see all these revolutions of connect between the physical and the digital world.
Yes, sir. So the next question here is a little bit longer one. It says, what are the consequences of making a portfolio of the entire studio in regards of the specification to focus on a particular topic, and concluding the same in a brief manner and restricting it to 4 to 5 pages, and also what to add and which media will be fine for doing digital or hard copy. So they are actually set of 2 questions.
I understood. See, let me explain it this way. See, doing everything in detail is beneficial to you as a student, because you understand your work in a deeper sense. So, see, I showed one example of foundation to completion of a building as a digital model. If you do it for yourself, you understand your design. Correct? So you know the whole process is very clear in your mind. But to present to somebody, you need not do the whole thing. It is for your learning, your understanding, that you go into the nitty-gritty of detailing and look at every aspect of specification, every aspect of material use, every aspect of detailing. It is for your own understanding. Because when you do this, in the real world, when you go and construct the building which you have designed, you are very clear that aisa maine socha tha, aisa nahi socha tha, this was not what I had in my mind, this is what I had in my mind. And you can always show your earlier digital videos and say, okay, this is what I meant, this is not what I mean. So doing this kind of detailed work is for your own benefit. It is not for somebody else's benefit. As a student, you have not built a building. You have not yet, you don't build a building as a student. Building construction is not a joke. You may design in half an hour, but a building takes 6 months to build. The design which you do in half an hour or 1 hour and make a presentation in 2-3 hours, the construction of that building in reality takes at least 5-6 months. And after constructing that, when you designed and made a presentation, everybody said, wow, wow, kya sundar design hai. And when it is constructed, people say, kya faltu design banaya hai. Correct? Aisa bhi hota hai na?
Yes.
Presentation Presentation looks very beautiful. When it is constructed, the architect also doesn't want to take a selfie in front of it because it doesn't look good. So ऐसा भी होता है life में. So ऐसा भी होता है life में. So the whole idea of working like this is for your own understanding. As a student, if you explore these mediums, it is exclusively for your own understanding. You don't make portfolio for others to, they get impressed with your work, but it is more for your own understanding of what you are learning. You know, if you keep looking at your mark sheet, it doesn't tell you anything. Correct? If you keep staring at your mark sheet, it doesn't tell you anything about yourself. But if you keep looking at your portfolio, it tells you something about your skills. A mark sheet doesn't tell you anything about yourself. Correct. But you look at your portfolio, it tells you something about the skill. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, sir. Anything
So
else?
there's one question. This is a question which comes from almost all the institutes across the globe. Sometimes it happens that the first idea as a concept and final design becomes different. Then showing connection between the concept and final design becomes all the more difficult. So what is the method and what are the ways that those two can be connected?
See, there is something called iteration. Iteration. That word needs to be understood very well. When you start with an idea, and if the end product doesn't resemble that idea, that means you have followed a very linear path. You have kept rejecting many things in between and you arrived at another design. You started with an idea and you ended up with something else which doesn't resemble the concept, correct? So, but if you start with an idea and work with different iterations of the same idea, it's called iterations. Like without using the foundational thought behind that concept, you keep developing different alternatives without using the original idea from your mind. So you come out with different concepts. And when you look at all those different ideas, which are, the roots are in the same thing, the root is there. Then whatever you do in the end will have some semblance of, you can recognize the original concept in the design that you have created. What happens is that you keep on deleting, keep on rejecting, keep forgetting what you started with. So you develop an idea, you should not develop it to the full extent. Leave it at some stage, start with the same thing again, develop another concept, another idea, That is called alternative designs. Alternative designs based on the same idea.
So now we'll take only last couple of questions. I'll just read out both the questions simultaneously. One of the question is drafting old physical sheets in software a good idea? And the second is is it right to redraft? It's the same question. So do you think there's a difference between the portfolio that we make for our jobs and for postgraduate, or it could be of similar nature? So these are the two concepts or questions and doubts which are being raised from the audience.
We are asking this question to ourselves because our generation is sitting between two different methods. Correct? We are sitting between two different methods. The first method was that of manually doing something, making drawings. And the second method is digitally drawing the drawings, correct? So we have this doubt, which is better, whether we should continue with that, do only digital. And we call ourselves architects. But look at what was architecture 300 years back or 400 years back. If you ask me, some of the world's finest buildings were made 400 years back. After that, I don't know if the buildings which are made will ever be called great like the buildings of the past, like Taj Mahal or St. Peter's or any of those historic buildings. Were they made with drawings? No, they were not made with drawings. Were they made with after doing computer simulation? They were not made after making computer simulation. They were made with hands. Architects were working with hands on the site. But today, if you ask any architect, कि यार अभी पत्थर लगा के building बना के दिखाओ, you think any architect will dare to do it? Will have the courage to do it. But how do they call themselves architects? They call themselves architect because they visualize things and put it into another third medium and give that third medium to somebody else to construct. Am I right? what we do as architects today, including me, visualize something, put it into one medium, paper medium or digital medium, and give it to the construction workers to construct. Actually, it's the construction workers who are the real architects, who are making hands-on what your dream is, which we have seemed to have forgotten, because there was a time when they were called master builders. Somebody, a builder or a mason, works on construction site. Over several years, he becomes an architect. Ustad Isa constructed Taj Mahal. It took 22 years to construct. So, if you compare with the past of architects' life and today's life, we are definitely in a better situation. So, but we are on a cusp of a new revolution, because we are sitting between the digital way of drawings and the manual way of drawing, and we are wondering. So, we always follow the path of least resistance. We find digital very easy, so we want to do it. अरे कौन बैठेगा 1 घंटे तक और उसके अंदर लाइन मारता रहेगा, हैचिंग लाइन to show shadow, correct? But at the same time, we just will not go to construction site and make it actually with our hands. We will not do it, because that is old age. So we are right now in between these two mediums. So we are a little confused, but I'm sure we will take it to the new medium only. We will slowly, over a period of time, totally forget manual drawing, which is happening actually already, and we will move on with new technologies. Most probably, we may not make most probably, if you ask me, we may not make any digital drawings also in future. It may become only computer programming. We will do programming of a building, and the program will construct a building using robots and 3D printers. Maybe that is the future. You see, we may not print drawings in future. It will not be required. Computer programming will construct buildings. That may happen. We don't know.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It was very nice having your lecture with us on this platform, and you talk, and I think it has been a very great eye opener for students and all the audience. And you also discuss about chronological order of how to keep the records in a chronological way, and how you face the technological drawbacks, and also spoke about enhancing skills, and you talked about your projects ranging from public toilets to police stations, and also the process of construction, and the most important thing of how to add services in SketchUp, which might be something new that our students have learned, and most of the audience have learned so far. But so it was a very nice, great, and overwhelming experience. And before we just sir conclude, I'll just like to within 2 minutes talk about our university. So I'll just have it just for 2 minutes. Sir, can you see my screen, sir? Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay. Now is the screen available?
Yes.
So
yes.
So, sir,
yes.
We are from PP Savani University. It is located in Surat, and this is a very huge education trust which was launched in the year 1987. Initially, our trust was into schools, and the student strength in the Surat district is almost more than 45,000. And the university is a new venture, and it has 17 undergraduate programs and three postgraduate programs. And in the year 2016, the trust decided to expand its horizon and come with a very enhancing university for the people in the South Gujarat, and which was the need of the hour. And we have almost more than 100-acre of world-class campus, including all facilities. This is our architecture department. We have air-conditioned studios, very spacious ones. We also have a Mac Labs, which has catering to almost 50 PCs. We have dedicated workshops, a seminar hall with almost 200 seating capacities. And we also have mess where the entire university can have their meals at the same point of time. We also have huge corridor spaces, and we regularly display the students' work there. And we also have executive dining facilities for the guests coming and going. And we have explicit professors from best institutes across India and overseas. Also with the education, we also focus on extracurricular activities, and we also have workshops like photography. We have all the kinds of sports that, in the university campus. And of course, education is of the prime importance, which can be seen here. And we have guest lectures, we have cultural programs, and we do almost all the kinds of activities. And we are exploring different heritage sites for our study tours. And we have started documenting different parts of India. This time, of late, we went to Sitpur, and we also have an academic collaboration and exchange program from Danish Consortium for Academic Craftsmanship. And we are also a student partner with IGBC Student Chapter.
Very nice.
So I guess that's it. So sometimes thank you once again very much for coming and
You're
giving
welcome.
your valuable time with us, spending your valuable time with us. And of course, in future, once the situation is coming back to normal, we would like to invite you at our university. And please stay with us and guide us. And on behalf of our principal, also I am thanking you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Let social distancing reduce. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you very much. And
Okay.
for all the other
Thank you.
participants,
Okay.
you will
Thank you.
send you a video uploaded on YouTube very soon. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm ending now.
Thank you, sir.